I am also, as she mentioned, Golden Hoodie winner from Dreamforce 2021. And yeah, I also run the Tampa Pardot community group. And I'm trying to be as involved as I can be with the larger Trailblazer community group world. So today I'm going to be talking a bit about the Pardot-Salesforce integration over the last few years, and especially the last few releases. The integrations has seen significant enhancement, and that has implications for people who are Salesforce administrators who may not necessarily have anything to do with Pardot in their day-to-day role, but will potentially interface with people on their teams who do manage Pardot, and will find themselves having more and more conversations with those people because of how closely Pardot is being kind of interwoven with Sales Cloud. So in this conversation, I'm going to be talking about some of those integrations try to do it at a high level. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know at the end, or you can also connect with me afterwards. So I am going to share my screen, and if it doesn't work, please let me know.
Yeah, just a quick moment. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, Ben, your screen is visible.
Okay. Excellent. Right. So I've already kind of talked a bit about myself. I also manage the Pardot Geeks blog, two-time Salesforce marketing champion, and also 2x Pardot accredited. These are some of the things. I mean, there's a lot more than just these 6 items, but these are the ones that are I wanted to spotlight in this conversation here. So we have the marketing setup menu, connected campaigns, the Pardot Lightning App, Salesforce SSO, the Pardot email and landing page builder, in Lightning Experience, and Pardot business units. So the first thing I wanted to, the first part of this is the marketing setup app, and this is actually a pretty new feature. The Pardot the marketing setup app is something that is it gives Pardot admins the system permissions to be able to manage Pardot without having to have so many system level permissions in Salesforce. That's something that a lot of admins will often push back on, because they don't love the idea of giving Pardot admins a lot of access in Salesforce. So with the creation of a marketing admin permission, they're now able to access what's called marketing setup within the within the larger setup system. And so that allows a Pardot admin now to go in and actually manage creation and updating of the actual Pardot Lightning App in a way that allows them to do that without having to give them more access than maybe the Salesforce admin is comfortable with giving. So this is something that is pretty new. It was either this release or the one before that, and if you are a Salesforce admin and you guys are on the Lightning app, I would encourage you to look into adding this for your Pardot administrators, so they can manage the Pardot app without necessarily having a lot of access to other parts of the system. One of the biggest changes to the integration, this is actually a few years old now, but it kind of bears repeating because of the amount of investment that has been done to further enhance the connected campaigns functionality between Pardot and Salesforce. So at its core, connected campaigns unifies Salesforce campaigns and Pardot campaigns. So in the past, several years ago, it was you created a campaign in Pardot and they had no direct relationship to a campaign in Salesforce. And that has since changed. Once you turn on connected campaigns, now you create a campaign in Salesforce and it's mirrored and recreated in Pardot. It does require some configuration to enable. And if you are a Salesforce admin and you guys have a Pardot instance that has been around for a little while, you will need to work with your marketing team to build requirements to identify which campaigns do need to be mapped and which ones don't. The kind of beauty of connected campaigns is that it enables data to flow to newly created objects, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those objects later. But it's a direct pipeline between Pardot and Salesforce, and it's the amount of data that is now available to be managed and visible in Salesforce is tremendous, and it's because of this connected campaign functionality. So this is a kind of visual example of how this works. So on the right, we have a Salesforce campaign. You see the traditional Salesforce UI. And then on the left, we have a Pardot campaign. You see that because you see that they're both named the same. You have campaign, the FY18 Q3 test, and you have now the same campaign recreated in Pardot. There are some configuration level things to consider when you are doing this, because you can limit the campaign type, the campaign record types. If you have several campaign record types, you can create a limit and say only bring in campaign record type A, but don't bring in campaign record type B. It's also important to remember that when you enable connected campaigns, previously the campaign object was editable in Pardot, and now it's not. So once you enable connected campaigns, the campaign object in Pardot becomes read-only, really. All your changes to the campaign have to come in Salesforce. But once you enable it, you now have the ability to manage it in one place, and you're not mixing and matching naming conventions, and everything is kind of consolidated in the same place. This is an example of one of the benefits of connected campaigns. What you have here is on the lead object, you have something called an engagement history dashboard. And an engagement history dashboard is license driven. So you have, depending on your Pardot license level, you could have between 5 and 15, I believe, analytics view only permission sets. And what that does is that allows you to be able to give people permission to view these dashboards. And it is a one-to-one. So you're seeing this person, Beth Schuler, and you're seeing all of her Pardot engagement all time based on the amount of time that she's been in the database. So this gives you the ability to view this data, and it's because of Connected Campaigns that that's possible. And Connected Campaigns allows you to add this engagement history dashboard on the lead, contact, account, opportunity, and campaign. Each of the dashboards are going to be a little different. If it's going to be on the campaign, some of the things that are visible are going to be different than the things that are going to be visible on the account versus the opportunity. But engagement history dashboards are very valuable, especially for people who are in sales. And the reason why this is important to know for admins is because there is configuration required to make this possible. So your Pardot admins will come to you and say, hey, I'd like to implement engagement history dashboards. And then that's something that you'd have to work with them to identify who gets access and where on the page layout that these dashboards go. So this is an example of your Pardot admin and your Salesforce admin having to work closely together to make sure that that this dashboard widget is in the right place and and that it's working correctly and that the right people are given the appropriate permissions. I mentioned earlier that another thing that Connected Campaigns does is it enables the passing of object level data. So Pardot object level data is going to be list emails, marketing forms, marketing links, and landing pages. What this means is that when a form is created in Pardot, that data is now available to be viewed in a number of ways, including as a related list on a campaign. So when you create a campaign in Salesforce and it gets created then in Pardot, any of your marketing assets that you create, you're going to want to allocate to that specific campaign. And once you do that, it will then be, if you have this as a list view, you'll then be able to view in Salesforce all of the different assets and the metrics for each of these assets. So in this case, there's a Pardot form that was created for this campaign. And now because of the Connected Campaigns integration, it's now available to view as a list view on the campaign page layout in the related lists. Same thing would be done for list emails, any kind of marketing links or what's called a custom redirect in Pardot, or any landing pages. So all of that data becomes available in Salesforce from Pardot. And this is something else that a Salesforce admin is going to work closely with a Pardot admin to implement and to make sure it's in the right place on the page layout, and that people are aware of it. So there's some enablement training that may have to happen as well. And the last thing I want to kind of touch on with Connected Campaigns is that because of the data that's coming through with those with the object level data that's coming through, it does enable you to create Salesforce reports and dashboards of Pardot engagement. This is an example of a report, which is an engagement metric report on list emails. So it's the ability to build a Salesforce report of all of your list emails, and then you can filter it however you would traditionally in a Salesforce report. There's a lot of benefit here, and this further enhances the ability to report on metrics and KPIs and add those into dashboards. And this is something else that your Pardot admin will likely work with you on, because this is a custom report type that needs to be created. So they would come to you and say, hey, I need to build a custom report to be able to build a Salesforce report about my forms or my list emails or my landing pages or my links. And you would need to work closely with them to get that built and to push it so it's available to use. This is yet another example of Salesforce admin and Pardot admin needing to work together to allow to make the most of this integration and the features that are available from it. This is also something that's been around for a while, but it's every time I talk to a group, I try to and it's on this topic, I try to kind of push this idea that the Pardot Lightning app is the way to go. Some of you may have heard that there is officially an end of life date for the Pardot Classic app in Salesforce. Right now, it's like an iframe that you can use in Pardot and in Salesforce Lightning, and that's going to come to an end next year. The Pardot Lightning app is the way to go. That's where all of the innovation is happening. That's where the enhancements are, and it's the current in-market preferred UI, I would say, for managing Pardot. And this is a Lightning app. This is a Pardot Lightning app on the Lightning platform, and it has all the same stuff and more, really, than the classic app. There are some things to note, though, that it does, to be able to access the Pardot Lightning app, you do need to, it will consume a Salesforce license for every person who needs access. The Salesforce platform and Platform 1 licenses don't provide access. It's going to have to be a pure Salesforce license. And then the other part of this is that once you do have the Lightning app running, Salesforce users must be mapped to Pardot users to be able to access the app. That's important, obviously, because you're managing the Pardot Lightning app in Salesforce, and so you need, and there's a user that exists in Pardot that also needs to exist in Salesforce and be mapped in order for that to be visible. It does require working with your Salesforce admin to give the appropriate people access. If you are using a Pardot Classic app, you will want to work with your admin to remove access of the Pardot Classic app and to only make the Lightning app visible to kind of avoid confusion, because otherwise you'll have literally, if you go to the launcher and you type in Pardot, you'll have two apps that come up. So the Lightning app is super important. It's obviously 100% on the Salesforce platform. It's on Sales Cloud. It is not a separate platform like some of you may be familiar with pi.pardot.com. This is different. It's the Lightning. It's kind of it's the on-platform app, and it's strongly encouraged that if you're not using it now, to create a plan for getting on the for doing that migration. This is something that is relatively new. It looks like I mislabeled this. So this is not the email builder. I apologize. This is an example. This is a visual of the Lightning app. So I apologize for the miscue on the label here. But this is the Pardot Lightning app. This is what it looks like in Sales Cloud. So you see that it is in Sales Cloud, and you've got all the Sales Cloud UI here. These tabs here, dashboard, prospects, campaigns, automations, these are all Pardot elements. And once you click on these, on the left side, you'll have a menu that will allow you to navigate through Pardot, but you are logged into Salesforce. So accessing this requires logging into Salesforce and then having the permissions to be able to access it. There is a second level of access. There's a second level app called B2BMA Canvas. That is something else that you have to work with that you would need to work with your marketing person who manages Pardot to enable that, to ensure that the right people have access. And then in order to access this, in addition to having a Salesforce license, they also have to be given either the Sales Cloud user, Service Cloud user, or CRM user permission set license to be able to access it. And those are also limited. So being able to access this is a license kind of forward requirement, but it's worth it. This is where Pardot is now and in the future, and being on the Lightning app is critical. I mentioned previously that the pi.pardot is going away. It is going away in Salesforce in the Sales Cloud Lightning experience. Right now, it's an iframe that has an end of life. What is happening now is that earlier this year, Pardot made it so that you're not able to you're not able to log in to Salesforce using to Pardot using a Pardot specific login. So you must have a Salesforce login of some kind. So if you need to give, so what Pardot is, or Salesforce has done is they've given what are called Salesforce identity license that are bundled into all these Salesforce orgs. This allows you to have a SSO level login to Pardot via a Salesforce credential. So you don't have true access to Salesforce, like you're not accessing Salesforce. Like it doesn't give you access to Lightning. It doesn't give you access to really much at all in Salesforce. It literally is an authenticator that will allow you to log into the Pardot Classic app on pi.pardot.com. This is for the purposes of security, for user creation and deletion. It kind of unifies all the platforms together. And there's other implications of that is for another time, but for the purposes of this conversation, this is significant because if you are a org that is not on the Lightning app, you should be, but if you're not, you have users in any new user to Pardot on the Classic app will have to be created in Salesforce and given a identity license in order for them to be allowed to be able to log into the pi.pardot UI. So that's super important. And if you are managing Pardot or you're managing Salesforce and you have someone who's also managing Pardot, they are going to come to you and says, hey, here's a list of people I need you to create in Salesforce and give them identity licenses so they can log into the Pardot app. It wasn't that way until earlier this year. So people are still adjusting and kind of not everyone loves it, but that's kind of the way things are going. They're pushing the integration closer and closer together, and that's just kind of the wave of the future here. So this is something that is super exciting, and this is the enhanced email and landing page builders. So the previous Pardot builders were kind of rigid. They weren't super easy to use, and that's something that has been a pretty consistent complaint among Pardot users. And what this is now is a kind of 21st century builder. So what these are drag and drop builders. However, what's important for Salesforce admins to know is that these builders exist outside of the Lightning app. There is separate configuration and setup that is required to be able to give access to the Pardot enhanced email and landing page builders. They're not available like the moment you create your app. It's not saying, oh, hey, here's the builder. There is setup that's required, and there's some licensing and permission sets that's also required to enable access to give access. I say here no additional licenses are required, and that's technically true, but so I won't say licenses, I'll say permission sets. That's a better way to say this. Ruchi, I'm not doing a implementation guide right now for how to implement. I don't have enough time for that right now. There are several videos out there that walk through how to implement and how to use the builders. But I will talk a little bit about that, about what it is and how it works. There's a question. Pankaj?
Yes, Ben, Pankaj here. So I have one question. Actually, I'm facing issue with this email lightning builder with the responsiveness, and second, while I'm testing it. Okay, so it doesn't allow me to define a sender email address and a reply to email address for the testing. And secondly, the responsiveness is not good. So whom can I contact for that?
For the email builder?
Yes.
The responsiveness is something that is, it's not, the email builder does not have a doesn't have Litmus built into it yet. So what you would need to do to be able to make that, to test responsiveness, because you're not able to export the HTML to, what you would need to do is you would need to get an account with a like email on asset or something like that, and email and create an account there and email it to, you're usually given an email address from like email on apps, asset, or Litmus. Can someone go on mute? I think that's, I don't know if it's Pankaj. Thank you. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and probably create a account with email on asset or Litmus, and then they typically will give you a email address for testing purposes, and then you would send a test email to that address, and then it will give you a view of how that email looks across different UIs. That's really the only thing that's available in the current right now. There isn't a whole lot more that you can do other than just emailing it to yourself and emailing it to other people who are on different UIs or different.
Yeah, but then what is happening that, okay, we can see the mobile device view. Okay, one is the desktop view and second is the mobile view. So mobile view, it doesn't show us likely because it is just converting to 2 or 3 column into single column, and they don't want that. Okay, we have some different requirements, but yeah, I'm not able to get anything on the web that how to define that, how we can just move the columns and like uh, you can say responsiveness and all. And second thing is I'm not able to receive the test email to my personal, like my official email address, because it is not allowing me to define any sender email and reply to email. So I like I know that it will send from the user. So for example, if my user is pankajverma@company.com, so it will send from pankajverma@company.com to pankajverma@company.com. But as per the policy of my company, it is not allowing the deliverability, because for them like that is not permissible. So I don't have any option to define the sender profile, like sender email or sender email address, sender name. So that is a bit like worrying right now for me.
Yeah, I don't without like knowing more, unfortunately I'm not able to give you a lot of insight here. If you do have if you are able to access support, I would recommend reaching out to support for that. If you're a partner support works great there. If not, then using, and you have some kind of support with Pardot or a partner. If you're working with a partner, that's another way to do that as well. Unfortunately, I don't without being able to see it and know more, I'm not able to give you more information. But I do need to move on to
Sure,
the other parts of this.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yep. So the other part of this is that with the email and landing page builders, it does come with the need to set up what's called the Salesforce CMS. This is a relatively new, and it's fairly easy to set up. There's a handful of setup guides that exist online, and I would recommend looking at those. But this will obviously require the admin to set this up for marketing if marketing is not able to do it or doesn't have the permissions. But setting up the CMS is required to be able to actually use the Lightning app, the Pardot enhanced email landing page builders, because that's where you're uploading your images and things like that. And Salesforce will be integrating the builders with additional Pardot functionality over future releases. And because the initial release of the email builder was kind of was limited to list emails, and then it didn't have any templates. And now they've been adding with each subsequent release, they're adding more and more functionality, which is exciting. This is what the email builder looks like. This is just a You'll notice that this UI, it looks kind of like an app builder, and that's because it kind of is. It's the whole email builder experience exists outside of Pardot. So once you're in here, you're creating. You have your text area and your drag and drop. You can modify and save. Once you do save this, then it becomes available to use to send a list email or to send or to add to an engagement studio. But it's important to note that there are two tabs that you can add to your Pardot, to your Salesforce menu. One is called email content and then email templates, and these need to be made available to users. And so, but for a Salesforce admin, you need to obviously enable access to this. And this is what I was talking about, because this is landing pages, because landing pages as well have a similar UI. So this is a new tab that would exist in your menu. You can add this to the Pardot Lightning App menu if you want to. That's something that you would need. If that's what marketing needs, then you can reach out. Then marketing will need to reach out to the admin to be able to build this and make this visible as a menu item. But this is where it would be. And then once you click on it, then you're able to see all of the landing pages that were created. And you have the button here for new to create a new landing page. And once you create this new landing page, it becomes visible and available for automations and things like that in your actual Pardot Lightning app. So this is something that the Salesforce Marketing Administrator and the Salesforce admin will need to work closely on because it's something that, again, we're pushing closer and closer between Pardot and Sales Cloud. And so because of that enhanced integration, the conversations between sales and marketing are becoming, really the Salesforce admin and marketing are becoming more frequent, because with every release, more and more is getting either pushed into Salesforce or is being pushed closer to Salesforce, where you're going to need to be able to work with your Salesforce admin in order to make it functional. So this is also something that is relatively new, called a Pardot Business Unit. And a Pardot Business Unit is a separate database within a Pardot account that allows Pardot customers to create partitions. And scenarios where you would use this would be if you've got a business, let's say you're a multinational company and you've got your customers in North America, and you've got your customers in India, and you've got customers in Europe. You would have three separate business units, which are three separate instances of Pardot that are all mapped back to the same Salesforce instance. Pardot business units cannot be mapped individually to separate Salesforce instances. They are all mapped back to the same. In order to configure Pardot business units, you need to work again. Keep coming back to this. You need to work directly with your Salesforce administrator to configure and set up business units and make them aware of how business units are working and how data is being pulled between Salesforce and Pardot. They are not available for every license level. Business units at the moment are only available to Pardot Advanced and Pardot Premium customers. The beautiful thing about PBUs is that you can restrict access to business units by user. So I can say, myself as a user, I'm responsible for marketing to North America and Europe. However, I don't have anything to do with the India business. So if there are business units for North America, Europe, and India, I'm only going to have access to, I can only be given access to Europe and North America. I'm not able to access the India business unit. So that's something that is very helpful for organizations that are wanting to limit access and also give, but also create divisions. So, because previously, if you had several business, if you had lines of business across different countries, different continents, you didn't have the option. Everybody just lived in one Pardot instance. So it was very messy and it was a little risky because you had to make sure that you had clear divisions and clear lines between different countries and different users, and business units allows you to create these sub instances of Pardot and map them all back to the same Sales Cloud instance, Salesforce instance. And this is a great example from, I got this from Mark Cloud Consulting. This is kind of a perfect visual. It's probably a little oversimplified, but at its core, this is really what it means, is that you've got business unit 1 in Asia, business unit 2 in EMEA, and business unit 3 in Americas. They are consider them to be separate instances of Pardot. They each have their own users, their own prospects, their own assets, their own lists, everything. Each of these are uniquely contained. They don't cross unless you need them to. They don't cross business units. And then users can be given access. Salesforce users, Salesforce/Pardot users can be given access to the appropriate business units. So they're not seeing things that they shouldn't be, or aren't building emails that they shouldn't be, and things like that. And this is something else that is super important. This is called marketing data sharing, and it's kind of related to Pardot business units. One of the kind of because you have so many, let's say because you have several business units, but they're all connecting to the same Salesforce instance, you are going to want to make sure that you're only putting customers or prospects from those specific geos in the appropriate business units. And so what you're able to do here is you're able to make it so that Pardot will only sync with and you can use explicit criteria to say, okay, only bring leads into this Pardot instance where they're using a field of geo. So let's say they're in the EMEA geo, where custom field EMEA, custom field geo equals EMEA. And so it's going to limit for business unit EMEA only those in Salesforce who have the field selected for EMEA. And you can set this for lead, contact, and opportunity. So it will allow you to create those divisions within Pardot using data that's in Salesforce. So you're able to facilitate those unique experiences per business unit. And this is something that is, it's something that the Salesforce administrator at the very least be aware of. And it's something that if you are implementing business units, it's something that you're probably going to want to, and if you don't already have an existing field that identifies geo or whatever the segmentation criteria is that you want to use for your business units, that's something that you'll need to work with your Salesforce admin on, or the Salesforce admin will need to work with marketing to enable, because otherwise it's not possible to push the right people into the right business unit by geo if there's no field that currently denotes that, or whatever it is that you're segmenting by. So that's super important. And business units, like I said, are only available on advanced and premium. But for those that do have them, setting up marketing data sharing is like step 2, really, to make sure that you're only bringing in the right people, the right leads, contacts, and opportunities to segment by a specific geo. So I realized that this was pretty quick, but I didn't want to go too deep into too many things. So that's really my presentation, and I know that we have time for there's a quiz that's going to happen, and we could probably do some questions. I mean, there's certain questions that obviously I'm not going to be able to answer without being in your instance. So just bear that in mind. So there's a question in here asking that you notice one drawback of Lightning emails is where you can't get proper reporting on links prospects click. Is that something expected? Yeah, I expect that they're going to enhance the reporting. You are able to get generalized, kind of more generalized reporting on kind of aggregate reporting on all engagement, but it's not as good as it is in Classic. You would just probably want to use. I mean, it's kind of manual, but you'll just probably want to use tracking links or custom redirects. I realized yesterday that you're not able to grab them. Like it doesn't let you see what your custom redirects are like they do, like it does in Classic. So you'll want to create custom redirects and then bring them over to the emails, and then you can build a report in Salesforce of the links that were clicked by email. And you're going to want to have a strong naming conventions to make sure that you're associating that link to that email. It's kind of clunky. It's not the greatest, not the easiest way to do it, but that's the way that I would do it.
So hope that answers your question, Prashant. Thank you so much, Ben, for the amazing session and lots of learnings. I have also got so many things. I get there's another question coming up. One more drawback, we can just use it for list emails. Is it correct?
Actually, in the new release, it's now possible to use the Lightning Email Builder to add for Engagement Studio. So if you want to build these emails for Engagement Studio, you can build it in the Lightning Email Builder, and then you need to have a permission added to a system level permission added to your user to allow you to add emails to automations. And once you do that with your Salesforce admin, you would then be able to, when you're viewing the email, not in the builder, but outside the builder, when you're just looking at it, in the top right, there's on the drop down, there is a button that says add to automation or make available for automations or Engagement Studio. And so you can build. So right now it's list emails and it's Engagement Studios. I expect in the next release or two, they will address being able to build emails in the Lightning Builder and add them to completion actions and make them available for like automation rules and things like that.
I hope that answers your question, Pankaj. Okay, sounds good. So thank you so much, Ben, for the amazing session. I hope everybody understands everything which you have shared. And thank you so much. I also learned a lot of things. So guys, thank you for being such an amazing audience. Now I'll be sharing the link in the chat box. So you can just type this in your phone and then you can join with the code I'm sharing. There will be some housekeeping rules. Do not enter with the duplicate name or the name that is not registered with the in the event. Also, the first winner will be getting the gray trailhead hoodie. So I hope everybody will play with, and everybody will. Okay, I can see the names coming up. Just share my screen. No, Ayush, you don't have to sign up. You just have to click on the link, like the link I have given in the chat. Just type this in your browser and enter this code. So 22 people I can see. I guess one more participant will be there. We are good to start then. Is there anybody who is facing any issue? Please let me know in the chat. Okay, I believe we are good to start. Okay. All right. So I'll be starting the quiz and all the best, guys. So I believe everybody has answered the questions, and as we can see, I'm just clicking on the end. And we have our winners. Harsh at the third place, Prashant at the second, and Ayushi is the winner of the quiz and the hoodie. So thank you so much, all of you, for playing. And if you have any question, you can ping me or Ben on the Twitter and LinkedIn. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much, Ben, for taking your time out on the Saturday morning and joining us and sharing your knowledge with all of us. And thank you so much for all the participants who have taken your time out and joining us for the event. I hope you all like this event, and